What's up, Internet?
Ew.
We're here to talk about movies.
Specifically 10 Cloverfield Lane, the anthology sequel thing fucking question mark to Cloverfield.
Yeah. We just saw 10 Cloverfield Lane in IMAX and got nice free posters. I'm wearing my Slush Show shirt again.
Because he's a fanboy.
Yeah. 10 Cloverfield Lane is a movie by Dan Trachtenberg, produced by J.J. Abrams, starring Mary Elizabeth Winstead and John Goodman and John Gallagher Jr., featuring Bradley Cooper as a voice on a phone. 10 Cloverfield Lane is a film centering around a woman named Michelle who, after a car accident, wakes up in an underground bunker being kept in there by a man named Howard, played by John Goodman, who is telling her that she can't go outside because there was some sort of attack that left the world uninhabitable and she would not survive outside. So we went into Cloverfield a little bit last time. I'm not going to get into all that again. But this movie had quite a bit of hype behind it because, you know, it had the word Cloverfield in the title. And people got really excited about that. And the trailers were really mysterious and cool in typical J.J. Abrams fashion. So we went into this with, I guess, not knowing what to expect.
I mean, I walked in with a lot of hype, but...
Yeah.
I went in with nothing. I didn't watch any of the marketing, any of the trailers. I didn't even watch. I wanted to go in completely with nothing.
Yeah,
I'm glad I did.
And I went into
really
this
am.
with certain expectations, and I think I'm speaking for all of us here when I say that everything we were expecting kind of went out the window.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could agree. Definitely not what I was expecting. In a good way.
Yeah,
definitely.
really,
No,
really good
agreed.
way.
In a very good way. This movie's excellent. It really is an experience, and it's just so impressive knowing that this is Dan Trachtenberg's first ever film, because this movie is so well done. It's well acted. It's well edited. It's just beautifully shot.
Very tense. Very
incredibly tense to no end. I don't really even know where to begin with this one, so I guess we'll just go right into it. Performances were stellar. I mean...
Yeah, no, there wasn't a weak link.
There was not a single...
I mean, there were only really 3 actors. Well, there were technically more, barely.
Barely.
Like, barely, but...
Three main actors, and not a single one of them was bad.
And a super stellar performance by Bradley Cooper.
Yeah.
Goodman, though, absolutely
Oh
amazing.
my god.
John Goodman stole the show in this movie.
The character development alone was probably my favorite part of the movie. His character's development was... It kept going back and forth.
Yeah,
you didn't know...
Good, bad.
You didn't know if you could trust him, if he was good, if he was going to kill them. You had no idea. And it was amazing. At first, you thought he was just some psycho kidnapper. And then you start to get some sympathy for him, and you start to think maybe this guy's has good intentions. And then it just goes right back out the window again, and he's insane. It was just amazing. He
switches between, like, a guy who's this friendly dude to absolutely terrifying on the drop of a dime, and it's really, really impressive, and he is
What's even better, though, is they don't do much to change... Like, his character does change, of course, but it isn't... It's subtle.
Exactly.
It's incredibly subtle changes. But they completely change the atmosphere from, okay, he's a little awkward but friendly, to he's gonna murder me.
He's a the reason his character ends up being so intimidating because you're never exactly sure what's going on in his head, so you're never really sure where he's going with the thing. When he starts going on something, you're never really sure where it's going from there, and it really, really lends to the whole atmosphere of the film, because this whole movie is a thriller, and it really just, from beginning to end, it does not stop.
Well, I would say it's a thriller with horror elements, though, because
there
was a lot of, like,
of course,
just pure suspense.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Also, I really like John Gallagher Jr. in this movie.
He was good.
Like, at first, I didn't really like this character, but he grows on you so much.
Yeah, he was a fun good character. He was a good character, and he's well written. And this is my favorite performance I've ever seen from Mary Elizabeth Winstead too.
I got to agree with that.
She was fantastic in this movie, and she's easily one of my favorite horror protagonists now. Michelle in this movie is really
yeah.
She's smart, and she's very quick on her feet, and a lot of times she's ahead of the audience on how to get out of a situation and what to do to survive. So it's really refreshing.
But not like in an unrealistic way.
Exactly.
Like, everything that she does is something that could be done. Like, it's nothing like ludicrous.
Exactly. It's really refreshing to see a main character in a movie like this who isn't stupid.
Yeah, there's not one point in the movie with, any scene with her where you're thinking, do this, what are you doing, get out of there. She does pretty much exactly what the audience wants her to do.
Exactly.
But at the same time, it's still terrifying.
It is.
Oh, no, absolutely. Cinematography was excellent. And I have to mention that it's Dan Trachtenberg's first ever film, and props to him on this because it's so well done, and you would never know. The way this is shot in almost entirely underground in a bunker with maybe 4 rooms, it lends to the tone of this movie, and it makes the film feel so claustrophobic and adds to the intensity and the tension throughout the film, and it's really, really well done.
Oh yeah, definitely. And actually, even in the outdoor scenes, the tracking, just the sense of suspense and all that shit that I love, and I'm babbling the fuck.
No, I understand what you're saying, because a lot of there's a lot of the film
it was really good cinematography. That's
Yeah,
all I'm trying to get at. It was really good.
There's a lot of really, really tight shots that kind of just make you really feel uneasy, and just kind of there were a few points where I was having trouble breathing because it was
they showed just enough.
Oh, yeah, so if you don't know anything about this movie, don't go into it thinking it's going to be shot like Cloverfield 1. It's not found footage. It's not at all. If it was, I feel like it wouldn't work with this movie.
I agree.
No,
Definitely would.
Kind of like how I said in our first review of the first Cloverfield, how I said if that one was shot any different, it wouldn't work. Pretty much the same thing goes for this movie.
Although, actually, you know what might have been an interesting way to shoot this? Paranormal Activity style, and I hate that movie, but where it's shown through different security cameras.
I don't think it would have worked, honestly.
Honestly, I think it would have been interesting. I'm not sure if it would have held the tone of suspense as well, but I still think it would have been.
I was honestly expecting something like that to happen. Honestly, I feel like that would have been.
I really feel like that would have deflated all tension, because a lot of the tension in this movie came from the way it was shot.
I agree completely, but I was expecting at one
specifically
point.
the scene I was talking to you about in the car, which we'll get into in the spoilers.
Okay. No, and I agree with you as well. You can't get that sense of claustrophobia with security footage.
That's true. You really can't. It's also worth noting that this movie is not a sequel to Cloverfield. This movie is not.
We're not even sure if it's in the same universe.
Exactly. It's really there are a few tie-ins, but overall this movie is a standalone film, and it works. It works as a standalone film.
It works really well.
You don't need to see the first Cloverfield to see this. It doesn't really matter if you've seen it or not, but they're.
I recommend you do.
They're films that complement each other because they're very similar in terms of their tone and in their intensity and just the air of mystery around them. And I think that's ultimately what J.J. Abrams meant by when he called this a blood relative.
I could see it.
That he referred to it as kind of as sister films, which I can definitely agree with that. But I kind of like that. Usually, when you have a film like Cloverfield, that's so it's pretty big in scale. They always try and make it bigger, and this movie didn't. This movie went completely reverse. It changed it changed the style of filming. It went way smaller with it, and it made it way more personal, and it really.
And the character development in this one was so much better.
My absolute favorite part of this movie was the character development by far. It made the movie. John Goodman's character, I feel like, made this movie.
Oh, absolutely. He carried the film. But then even Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character, her whole arc by the end of the film is excellent. It's really, really well done, and this is just really good writing overall.
The other, I forget the other actor, something Jr.
John Gallagher Jr.
Yeah, John Gallagher Jr.'s character too, though. At first, I did not like this character. I did not. And then by the end, you love him. He's you want to see him just be happy.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
He was just, his character arc was also very good, I found.
Yeah, I totally agree. So, this movie, like I said, it's really, really intense, and it's a really, really well-made movie, so you should go see it. Seriously. Go out and see it in IMAX, because the sound design is amazing.
Yeah, actually, no, that was something I wanted to say, but yeah.
Visually, it's nothing, crazy in IMAX.
Oh, yeah, but the sound
is really...
within the first, minute or two of the movie.
You'll have several heart attacks.
There's a car crash that's shown in the trailer. I think I jumped 10 feet out of my seat.
Yeah, the sound design in this movie is a big part of what adds to the overall sense of
it was fantastic.
There are some details about this movie regarding the last act that while I personally enjoyed, I can see some people being turned off by. and I'm not going to talk about them now because they're very spoiler heavy. So we're gonna get to that in the spoiler section. So I'm just gonna let y'all know. So this movie's really good. Go see it. I do want to state that if you're going into this expecting Cloverfield 2, you're gonna be disappointed because it's not Cloverfield 2. This is a completely standalone film in what could potentially become J.J. Abrams' version of the Twilight Zone, and I think. Personally, I like that more, and I love Cloverfield, the first one. I love the first Cloverfield.
I've got to agree with you, though. I really do.
I kind of, in a weird way, I know you really can't compare them as films, but I kind of like this film better than Cloverfield.
Me too. Honestly.
Yeah. And I love Cloverfield.
Nice, same here. And I adore that movie, but this is kind of... It's a more well-made film with better writing and better characters. So...
We're gonna do ratings before we do the spoiler section.
Because there's a lot to get into. So, who wants to go first?
Oh, let's just
rock, paper, scissors.
Let's just go down the line, Slusho.
At the end of the day, I think this movie was really just well made on just about every technical level. The sound design is gorgeous. The cinematography is gorgeous. It's really, really impressive, given the setting and the fact this whole movie was shot chronologically. The acting is phenomenal. Dan Trachtenberg's really, really impressive, and he did a stellar job directing this movie. I'm going to give it an A.
I agree with everything Lee said. I just want to further just nail this fucking point home. This movie is so tense. Like, it doesn't go... Actually, no, that's a lie. It does go like 5 minutes here or there where there's no tension and everything seems just happy-go-lucky, and then suddenly it just smacks you in the face again, which I think is even more effective. This movie was fucking phenomenal. A+.
I'm gonna give it an A-, and once we get into the spoilers, I'm gonna go into why I'm not gonna give it a higher grade than that. But for now, I'm just gonna say A-.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So, spoiler time. This is spoiler warning. All right. So,
it's not clickable this time because you're already here.
This is strange. I'm just gonna get the biggest one out of the way first. The last 10, 15 minutes or so.
Aliens.
Oh, by the way, there's aliens.
But to be fair, it was touched on earlier in the movie.
It's hinted at a lot. There's a lot of foreshadowing.
It was fucking hit on the nose with the one line. You should hear this guy. He's got like a black belt in conspiracy theories. You should hear what he has to say about like the space slugs.
Well, yeah, but
it was a space slug.
I'm not saying that's not the case, but I'm saying that if you don't know what's coming, you're just going to assume, oh, John Goodman's crazy.
Well, until you see the woman fucking decomposing in front of the door.
She wasn't decomposing in front of her, and the air was supposed to be radioactive. Have you ever seen radiation burns? They're
true.
Fucked up.
It did look like radiation burns.
Exactly. So there's a lot of little hints toward what the inevitable climax is. There's John Goodman mentions extraterrestrials several times. There's mention of citywide blackouts on the radio at the beginning of the film, and then. Yeah, I was telling you, even the poster for Cannibal Airlines.
Yeah.
Think of it. It's aircrafts that eat people. Cannibal Airlines.
Oh, I didn't even catch that. Mm-hmm. Fuck.
Yeah, there's a lot of little foreshadowing to it, and it really...
God damn it.
And also the fact that even when the lady's talking about it, just touched me a little bit. Like, there's just little things in there that hint toward it, and then when it inevitably, hits you, it smacks you like a fucking semi-truck.
I will say, I gave this movie an A+. I think the aliens could have been done without. Like, I was having a conversation with someone else who's not on camera right now, but is over there, in the car ride, that I think this movie would have ended better if it would have just ended when she tears the suit, fixes it back up, and then just when there's tears in her eyes.
I completely disagree. I completely 100% disagree. Because
I would have liked it to be more ambiguous.
That would have defeated the entire purpose of her character arc by the end.
No. Just how would that have defeated her character? Oh, by the end.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's what I mean. Like, without the aliens, that would not have been a thing.
I agree with Mike, actually.
Thank you.
But I personally think they could have done the ending better, as opposed to just cutting that part out. It was too much like War of the Worlds to me.
Fair enough.
The way it was just War of the Worlds.
It was.
It was very similar.
A handheld explosive, straight into the mouth, things dead. War of the Worlds.
Fair enough.
There could have been a different way to go about it, but
I didn't. But the idea of it being aliens didn't bother me. Is what I'm saying.
No,
See, I'm not typically big on it. Like, again, I gave this an A+. I think this movie was absolutely like perfection.
Okay.
I'm not huge on aliens as a whole.
Fair enough. That's taste.
Exactly. Like that's not something I can damn it for.
If there are people who like are expecting like the Cloverfield monster, it's not there. There's aliens though, so like
Clovey is not present.
no, he's not present.
Why did you
Yeah,
say it's he? You fucking sexist.
I'm setting gender roles. I'm sorry. Yeah, but so like I said, I can see the alien thing kind of
I'm good.
turning some people off. You right?
Yeah.
You good?
Oh.
I can see the alien thing turning some people off a bit, but for me it worked.
John Goodman's role.
John Goodman's role.
Okay, so I think that his character was the strongest part of the movie. The character development, like his specific character development, was my absolute favorite part of the movie. He starts off, first time you see her, you expect him to be like, kidnapper. He kidnapped a girl, has her locked in his basement.
Chained to a
And
wall.
then, as the movie slowly progresses a little bit, you start to think, okay, maybe he did really save her. And the scene with the woman banging on the door really brought that home. You're like, okay, so he's telling the truth. He really is trying to save her.
And then
it just gets thrown out the door again. You find out that the picture that he gave to
Megan?
to
to Michelle,
the
the
picture
picture
of
he gave to
Megan.
Michelle of Megan,
Michelle, that you find out isn't really his daughter. It's some woman
some girl
who was
went
kidnapped.
missing.
Mm-hmm.
And he, it's implied he murdered her.
Or it's actually implied that he was trying to force her to be like Megan.
And his character is also, you could also say his character is the only thing that really ties this movie to the first one in the smallest way, being that he worked on satellites.
John Goodman's character worked for Bold Futura.
And what do you see in the first movie, at the very end, the satellite crash into the ocean, which thus wakes up the monster. So
Satellite
it's
owned by-
implied that he probably had something...
If he did not design that exact satellite, he at least worked for the branch of Tagruato who did.
I'm going to let you talk about the letter, because you know a little bit more.
Oh, well,
about
and
that.
I didn't actually see what was on the letter.
Further
Colorado.
extending to that, there's a brief moment when she's in the air filtration system where she steps on a letter, and that letter is to Howard from Bold Futura, which again is a subsidiary of Tagruato that works more in the area of space travel and like future technology. So yeah. Yeah, I kind of wanted to talk about the whole the acid scene.
Hello, phone.
Is that yours or mine?
Mine.
Okay. That there's a scene involving a vat of acid. I don't want to say too much about it. I'd rather let
Yeah,
you
actually, no.
experience it.
Yeah, that was intense.
I've never experienced such tension in a theater where you could literally hear a pin drop. Like it.
And this is opening night. We were in a full theater
With some obnoxious people.
and they were quiet.
It was dead silent, and it really was nice.
Oh god! And then just when she's crawling away with the fucking knife just coming through every once in a while.
There's the whole third act of the film.
Oh yeah, the whole third act
is
phenomenal.
really, really, really well done, and it's just constantly playing with both audience expectations and perception, and it's really just
Go see this movie.
go see it. It's really it's
Also
super
go
well
see
done.
Deadpool.
Is it even theaters anymore?
Yes.
Oh, it has to be.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I want to channel my inner high school English teacher for a moment.
Okay.
I want to talk about the scene when she's escaping, the state of the bunker, the fire from the acid hitting the electrical wires,
Yeah.
all the knocked over shelves and all that. I really feel like that was a symbol of like how things were actually going inside that bunker, at least in John Goodman's mind, the real fucked up state that he was actually in. I feel like that whole state that the bunker was left in really, represented
Exploded?
that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Because his character kind of exploded in a sense.
Or literally.
And
I feel like this is a bit of a stretch, but
I don't know.
I'll say
I personally thought that.
I'm gonna say it wasn't intentional, probably, but I can
Probably not, but that's just
Film
what I
analysis
thought.
is totally up to the viewer, Michael.
Don't be a twat.
The butthole alien had a pretty big meaning too.
Yeah, he did. We've been horror pals. Like, comment, subscribe. Go see Cloverfield Lane. Go see 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Can we try that again?